All right, so round number 6, I was perusing the old interwebs, and sometimes I go to this Reddit page called Just Boot Things, and sometimes the stuff there is fucking hilarious. And I've always kind of thought that little sayings on the internet like "No Nut November" are pretty stupid. Like those kind of things don't usually tickle my old funny bone very much. But whenever you house it in a little nugget, like kind of like whenever you're a dad or a dog handler and you have to put a piece of pill inside of like a turkey, like a little slice of turkey or inside a meatball, that's exactly what this is. Because on Just Boot Things, there was a post that said, "No Nut November is a faux challenge that you can try whenever and proves nothing, whether you're accomplishing it or not. It proves that you can control your own body," says another user, which is very important in finding self-control and meaning. And then our beloved little Boot chimed in, and he says, or she says, "Look, hun, I went 4, not 1, but 4 months in boot camp without masturbating. It's not an accomplishment. It's not being in control of your body. It's barely a test of willpower. It's nothing. It's nothing."
Theory. Which I heard when I was in, this is like one of those scuttlebutt, whatever, is that because you ever see the Sex and the City movie?
Yes, of
when
course.
she's walking by that dog pen and the dog's just going to town on a stuffed animal. It's like,
yes.
like humping everything it sees.
Samantha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I relate. Okay. Well, you know, I talk about my own gray and I'm a lady who enjoys fucking. And
Clip that one out for mom and dad.
What? Anyway, I am a human being, goddammit, and I'm a lady with needs.
You should see how red your face is right now. My word.
But
wait, there's more.
I'm going somewhere with this. I'm so sweaty right now.
All right.
When I was in boot camp, I had zero urge, like nothing. Like it completely died. And the rumor was, and I wasn't alone, like a lot of people felt that way, was that one of the shots they give you is like a 3-month boner killer, libido killer shot.
Yeah.
I would say
it wasn't a shot for us. It was in the Jello, and some branch of service. I think Army doesn't go with Jello as a rumor. I think Army, from what I've seen, goes with the eggs at boot camp.
Oh,
Yeah.
So they put something in the food or their
Willie
shots that
Pete,
makes you
I
not
think
horny.
is what they call it on the streets. so it makes it where you can't get a boner. But
Right.
it is strange because you have, whenever you're there, you have 3 months of, if you're in boot camp either way, you have 3 months of sexual beings. Sometimes you have to go to MCT, but God help you whenever you're done, like combat zones, like sometimes you're in combat zones where you don't have the ability to have private times. So people will have a little private time in one of those disgusting ass porter shitters.
Yeah.
Like,
that's
to
when you
me,
know it's bad.
Desperate.
if you're trying to, honestly, parents, because we have some parents who listen to this show that want to be able to relate to their kid who's going to join the military. If you don't want your kid to, just remind them that there could be a day in their life that they're trying to either jerk off or flick the bean in a 120-degree porter shitter.
Right.
And that might steer them away. Like, you just
Right.
sit down, enjoy a nice spaghetti dinner with some meatballs and be like, honey, you might have to whack the shit out of your dick in a porta john. Think about that.
Everybody's got a story too of that person in their unit who got caught whacking it in a Humvee or an MRAP or whatever, like late or on post or whatever. But also, like, we had another thing, the field expedient pocket pussies, where you take two socks, a rubber medic's glove, put a little lotion in there. Hey, dudes, go to town. And the rumor for the ladies was that in boot camp we take our buffers from our M4s and we use the buffer because it does look like a tiny ass little dildo.
Yeah.
But it's covered in CLP, which would probably give you immediate cancer. Like,
yeah, that would be so terrible.
Yeah. There was no point when I was in that I was like, I gotta. You don't feel sexy on deployment. You don't feel sexy on, I guess, other people, but I don't know. You just
feel gross all the time.
I feel like I ate too much Jell-O or something. I
think the grossest one that I ever saw was my buddy Jake Ritt. Shout out Jake, he listens. So he came in one day when we were in Fallujah, and he came into like the common area and just grabbed like 7 bananas. And I was like, what? I was like, why are you getting all the bananas? He was like, I take the banana out and just throw that away and heat up the rind for like 10 seconds in the microwave and jerk off with it. I was like, Jesus.
Well, it's
duty.
resourceful, if nothing else.
When we first got to
each their own.
Afghanistan the second time and we moved into these temporary Connex boxes before we all got pushed out to wherever, one of the groups, it was higher ranking women in my unit. I think one was like a gunny, the other was a staff sergeant. They get moved into this room and they come out. We have this meeting, like everybody meet up at like 1400 right out here. And they come out and one of them has something in a plastic bag and they're like, this is disgusting. And they throw it out on the ground. It was a homemade dildo. Some lady had really outdone herself and made a homemade, like whatever. And
But why is that disgusting if you're horny?
Right. And I was like, how unprofessional to bring it out. Because they wanted to find out who was in the room before them and like call them out. And I was like, get fucked. Like, so.
Quite literally.
Seriously,
Yeah,
use
like,
that
really,
homemade
like,
dildo. Get fucked.
Whatever
You might be in a
gets
better
you through.
mood.
You want to complain about people hooking up on tour? Well, let us have our dildos. Oh my God.
And I posted this on
Sheesh.
Zero Block 30's Twitter to try to get like some of our listeners and some of the respondents to chime in with some of their experience. One of my favorite one has nothing to do with the military, but it comes from the grime minister. He said, had to get an emergency circumcision at 20 years old. I think I went almost a month. Also had to try to avoid getting a boner for the first 10 days. 2 out of 10 would not recommend. 2 points for the drugs that they gave me. Ron Texaco chimes in, emergency ? The grime master responded back, yes, Ronald, you read that correctly.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, man. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Nothing.
So another
Just
one,
thinking about
Marine
that
Memes
magical
account.
first time after you're finally back in the swing of things. What a treat.
A Marine Memes account said, boot camp. If you jacked off in boot camp, then you're a psycho. I know
Right?
several guys I was in boot camp with that jerked off.
None of the ladies I knew, and people say we're not. We're just as horned up.
Yeah, they are just as horned up. I remember one night, drill instructor Staff Sergeant Wiley was his name. He came in and there was, because like a lot of times at boot camp, I don't know, did you guys do this too, Kate, where instead of getting underneath like the wool blankets, you would sleep on top of it with just your poncho liner so you didn't have to like completely make up the rack every day?
I never slept under my covers at boot camp. I always used,
I did that for 4 years in school. Never
Yeah.
once slept under the covers. Just always on top.
Yeah, you always sleep on the top. Well, because you sleep on top, occasionally the fellas, I don't know if this happens with the ladies. Do ladies have wet dreams, Kate?
I don't think we.
I'm
Secrete
more like slug
explode.
dream, right? Like
It's more
slug
of a
dreams.
snail trail. Sure.
Yeah, a little snail trail dream. So
This
this
Round has become very uncomfortable.
this dude fucking came his skivvies like big time.
No.
To the point where it came out. Staff Sergeant Wiley doing his morning inspection, and he comes out, and these are dark forest green, olive drab wool sheets.
Right.
So he comes out and he sees like what's very clearly a stream of nut like on his covers, and he just comes up to it, takes out his beautiful little knife hand, ducks down underneath the rack, and he just goes, what the fuck is that? And the kid's face was so embarrassed. But when you're dealing with nocturnal emissions, as the Bible would say,
Yes.
what are you supposed to do?
You can't do anything about it.
No.
And especially when you're talking about boot camp, the typical age is on the much younger side because you grow
Yeah.
out of that eventually. So it's going to happen.
Well,
It's
circling
inevitable.
Next
back
thing
to
you know,
round
you
4.
wake up. What?
I said, circling back to round 4, maybe there's a mood ring bracelet for illness, and then one that, like,
Let you know when you got a nut.
when you're going to be all horned up, like, uh-oh, it's turning turquoise. You better get to the
Because the
force
last
gun.
thing you want whenever you hear those lights for all the lights to come on is for you to have a boxer shorts full of man gravy. You just don't want that.
Indeed.
Mood ring turning a cloudy white.
Yeah, you don't want
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
All right, let's move on to
Okay.
round number 7.